Hello and welcome to another class. Today you will need a sturdy chair and a couple of blocks and a cushion would be good as well, or a rolled up blanket. So first of all, lying down as you normally do with your feet on the mat, and make sure your chin isn't lifted, your shoulders are down away from your ears, arms just relax, legs, feet firmly on the mat, and hips heavy, and just closing your eyes and trying to be still and quiet inside, and which we need quite a lot these days because we've always got that stillness within us and it can be found. But you really have to take all your senses in. And look in towards your heart and your heart center. And then start to focus on your breath. Not doing anything with it. Just imagining that the out breath is cleansing and the in breath is nourishing. And this may automatically allow you to soften the breath. Maybe it will just slow down when you do that. So the exhale is cleansing, the inhale is nourishing. So 6 breaths like that. Just repeating that to yourself as you breathe. Start to walk your feet in, bend the knees into your chest, roll onto the right side, come up to sitting with your legs crossed, lifting the spine, feeling nourishing, cleansed, and lengthening up. Good breath. So we're working on hips today. So just on the next out breath, coming forward and moving from the hip crease here, and then just coming forward, just having the fingertips down and lengthening into the spine and the chest, lifting, just starting to come a little bit forward, But if you're collapsing, then you've gone too far, or you might want to get a block and use the block. Breathing in, breathing out. Maybe a little bit more, but can you keep this all up? Another hips firmly down and relaxed in the groins and the thighs and the hip crease here, letting go. And then coming up and straightening the legs out, stretching out, bringing the toes towards you, again lifting up so you're in a good Dandasana, and then we're going to get up and get a couple of sun salutes. So, coming up now and coming to the front of your mat, just heating down a bit because I'll have my own heat in a minute. And if you don't want to do sun salute, there's always the cat on all fours to do. So standing tall, good Tadasana. Breathe in, stretch up and back. Breathing out, fingers in line with toes, head down. Breathe in, bring the right foot back, knee down, look up. Retain into plank. Breathing out, knees, chest, forehead down. Smoothly into cobra, down into dog. And breathe in, energy, step forward with the right. Breathe out, left. Breathe in, stretch up and back. And into Namaste. Breathe in, stretch up and back. Breathing out, fingers in line with toes, head down. Breathe in, bring the left foot back, knee down, look up. Retain into plank. Breathing out, knees, chest, forehead down, smoothly into cobra, down into the in dog. Breathe in, step forward, left. Breathe out, right. Breathe in, stretch up and back. And into Namaste. Breathe in, stretch up and back. Breathing out, fingers in line with toes, head down. Breathe in, bring the right foot back, knee down, look up. Retain into plank. Breathing out, knees, chest, forehead down. Breathe in into cobra, out into dog. Breathe in, energy. In, big step forward with the right, step forward with the left. Breathe in, stretch up and back. And into Namaste. Last one, a little bit higher. Breathe in, stretch up and back. Breathing out, fingers in line with toes, head down. Breathe in, bring the left foot back, knee down, look up. Retain into plank. Breathing out, knees, chest, forehead down. In into cobra, out into dog. Breathe in, step forward left. Breathe out right. Breathe in, stretch up and back. And into Namaste. Get your breath back. Good Tadasana. Getting too warm now. It can't be too warm really. Think of hot yoga, which I don't like to think about really. I think it'll be too hot. Right, we're going to do some leg stretches to the chair. So, you will probably need a couple of cushions. It depends on the height of your chair and also how tall you are and how flexible you are. We're going to put a couple of blocks there. Now, so we're going to put one leg up on the block, but we're trying to keep our hips even. So if we go too high, then what's going to happen is this is all going to lift too much. So you need to get your distance from the chair. So you can put your back of your heel on the blocks or the chair, and then so your hands on your hip bones at the front here, and then the thumb round, and then you can feel that your hips are even and you haven't lifted this hip in doing the stretch. So we're straightening the leg, and the hips are facing front and not, this right one's not lifted. I find sometimes it helps to run the hands behind my lower back here, because obviously if my foot's too forward or anything, that will alert me to that. And then you're going to stretch the arms up. So we're going to try and straighten the legs as much as we can. Shoulders down, looking straight ahead, spreading all the toes, and trying to straighten the arms. You can go wider, of course, as you know, if you can't straighten them up from the shoulders. And has that hip lifted, do you think? Right, done. And then coming down and change. So in Tadasana first, meet the legs together, spreading the toes, hands on your hips, and then bringing the back of the heel, so your toes are all coming towards you. You get a nice stretch on the backs of the legs, and your hips, what are they doing? You could actually make that one too low if you haven't got the right height. So hip bones here to the front, hips even. How does that feel at the back? This should be all even. Looking straight forward, strong and straight both legs. shoulders down and stretch up. And what do you think's happened to that left hip? You have to really be aware, don't you? And focus. And yeah, and down. Okay, then we're going to take, well, it depends again on the height. So we're going to go sideways with a bent knee. So you're going to have the chair on your left in Tadasana, and then we're going to bring the left leg up and the heel sort of opposite the instep of the standing leg. So this has to go back. So again, we're trying to keep the hips to the front and open. So it's quite a stretch on the inner thigh there, so be careful of that. That shouldn't be overdone. So are we all even? Is that sort of facing forward? And the hips, now it's very difficult to get both hips. If I move my hips around, or this happens quite a bit, you could bring your heel a bit forward actually, so it's in line with the toe, and that helps a little bit. Okay, so this nice strong leg here, hip opening out to the side there, and trying to keep all this in line as much as you can, and then we'll stretch the arms to the side. So, are we all even both sides? And middle finger extending to the walls either side, the other fingers together, breathing. Good, maybe up from there. Keeping that knee back, and then all the way down. And then we're going to change, so I'm just going to turn myself around. So you might see what's happened to the back. So again in Tadasana, let's have the heel in line with the toe of this leg. To the side. How does it feel behind here? Well, it's really difficult to get that in line, but have a go. And the hips are to the front. And then extend the arms. And have a look to see if you're even, and they're out from the shoulders. They're not trying to go back or too much forward. There's that as well. So, and working the legs. Breathe. Try and keep the bent knee back. Extend, and then come up. Breathing in and out. Breathing out and down and release. Okay, we'll just do a dog pose on the holding the corner of the chair, moving back. Again, we've got to move the hips back, keeping the legs straight and keeping the hips even. Well, it's quite even to do that in this, quite easy to do that in this position because they're both facing forward and the legs aren't doing anything different. But can you ease the hips back any more without having the shoulders too far up by the ears? Good stretch there. And also the tummy is in a little bit to support the back. It's a nice back stretch, isn't it? And then walk forward, 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 and come up. And we're just going to do the variation where we bring one hip back. We're going to do here. We can do that. So onto all fours into dog pose. And then I'm going to bend the left knee in, bring the heel to my bottom, and then move your knee out to the side and over to the right, and then you may be able to look under your arm, keeping the arms working. Breathe. And carefully come out of that and into dog pose. take a couple of breaths, dog pose, bend the right knee in, bring the heel to your bottom, start to lift the knee up, keep the arms firm, bring the hip back, keep the foot towards your bottom, and arms strong, and come to your arm if you can. Breathe, and carefully calm down into dog pose. And into child. Knees apart, toes together, bring the backs of the hands, either side of the feet, and relax down. Breathe in and come up to standing. Yeah. And we're going to do Trikonasana against the wall. Okay, so I hope you've got some wall space. I'm going to create a bit. Because that will help us keep the hips where they should be. So just the heels a little way away from the wall, nice and wide, and turning the left toes in a little bit, right toes completely out. Now immediately what happens, the hips start to come away. So this right hip's down, the left hip starts to come away from the wall. And now I've got to organise the tummy. And that is quite difficult to keep this back all the time. So anyway, stretching the arms out, breathe in, breathing out, go down into Trikonasana, and then the shoulders against the wall. Well, I've only got half a wall here. But again, we're trying to keep that hip back, so we're opening the hips, aren't we? So this should help you to try and stay in line. Breathing in, breathing out. And is your back against the wall, particularly the shoulder blades. And the arms should be against the wall if you've got one. And then breathe in and come up. And then going the other way. So feet facing forwards, turn the right toes in, left toes out. Now, got to keep that right hip back. Now, arms. Breathe in, breathing out. So stretch over to the left. Extend that. Keep the back on the wall. So the chest is facing to your front, arm is up, and it's that left hip that's really, right hip, sorry, that's really difficult to keep back. So the wall does help you keep in line this posture, doesn't it, and the head slightly back, looking at the, if you can, if you're not looking straight forward is fine. And breathe in and come up. Move the feet in. You can have a little wiggle, little walk to wiggle out. And I'm walking back to my mat. And in Tadasana. So, now we're going to do Utkatasana, chair pose. So, let's start with the arms up, extending, feet and legs together. Breathe in, breathing out. All you've got to do is drop the tailbone. Keep the body up, drop the tailbone. Knees and feet stay together. Now the arms have to be strong, don't they? Breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathe in and come up. And arms down. And release. We'll do that one once more. And we'll do the arms starting from down here, then going up.
20 minutes.
Breathe in, start to lift the arms up as you breathe out. Now keep the legs together, drop the tailbone, drop the shoulders, lift the arms, go down. Might go a little bit more than before, I don't know. Tummy's got to work once you get about here. And keep lifting. Breathe. Then come up. Breathe out and down. So just a little forward bend with feet hip width apart, facing forward. Breathe in, breathing out. And again from the hip crease here. Coming forward, folding over. So the sitting bones have to be coming up towards the ceiling. Your weight more forward, so spread those toes. See where the arms go. If they're not down, you can put them on the top of the feet. You can hold very lightly, some in the legs, but keep the elbows bent. Otherwise, you could be here and stopping yourself from going down. The upper body is completely relaxed. Breathe in, breathing out. Just letting go, keeping the weight forward. In fact, if you fold your arms, thumb in the hip, the elbow crease, a little bit forward, but spread the toes, keep you anchored. Then you could change the cross. So tuck the head in, keep the shoulders away from the ears. A lot of work on the legs, no work anywhere else. And then place your hands on your hips, breathe in, extend forward, 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 come up, back to Tadasana, hands in Namaste. And now it's time for an inverted posture, so we're going to put our legs up the wall in Viparita Karani, but if you normally do headstand or shoulder stand, you can do that now. So, here. So, that's the wall here. If you like to have a block under, if you're close to the wall, bring a block under, and then come a little bit more forward. And bring the arms where you feel is comfortable for you. Shoulders down, make sure you're centered, really centered. And stretch the legs up. It's quite nice to get your bottom against the wall if you've got a block under. And then the wall will help you straighten the legs. It's really nice to get the legs up, isn't it? And the hips heavy. The hips always heavy. So we're going to go into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. Move them down a little bit more maybe. And just take a couple of breaths there, just your hands lightly on your thighs, shoulder the chin down, and then on the next out breath you can just, if you press your thighs a little, keep the soles of the feet together, you'll be getting more movement in the hips here, more opening. Maybe you can go down a bit further, I don't know. Evenly together. Maybe a little bit pressed just on the mid-thighs, never on the knees. And be conscious of how that feels. So any of these shouldn't be painful on the hips. Maybe some discomfort obviously when you stretch. And working on the out breath. So if you feel you can go a tiny bit lower, and it's not, how does that feel? Maybe that's a bit too low, maybe I'll go up again. And just see how it goes. And then bring the knees together again, straighten the legs up. And then we're going to go into Happy Baby. So you're going to bring your hands on the outside of your feet and bring your knees in towards your armpits. Well, having this block here is helping, but it's digging in a bit, so you need to remove it. And if you've got a cushion handy or a rolled up blanket, if you put that under your sacrum there, that'll be quite nice. And that will help keep the shoulders down, and bring the elbows towards your armpits and the soles of the feet facing the ceiling. So imagine you're a fly doing a squat on the ceiling. So you need to really bring the knees in so that the lower legs are sort of quite vertical. And then we're trying to get the upper legs a bit more horizontal. Keeping the shoulders down, of course. Okay. Take a couple more breaths there. On an out breath, you might want to press down a bit more. And then release. And take that out for a minute and bring the bottom down, stretch the legs up. Stretching the heels, bringing the toes towards you. Again, straightening the legs and the back firmly down. On the ground again. And then we're going to bend in again. So then we're going to try the supine tortoise. So the hands go under the thighs and then around the outside of the feet. Okay, so instead of going this way, you go under and bring the hands around. Okay, and so now, so take a breath there. Then putting the cushion under the sacrum, that will really, really help you now. Do it with the cushion. And then you might want to bring the feet together a little bit. Keep the bottom down. And then you may want to bring the hands down. And breathe. Hands up again. Try a bit more movement. And it's quite a bit of work on the lower back. So you have to try it. The cushion's quite helpful because it lets you come up a little from there. Okay, then we're going to come out, put the feet on the wall and take that off. Again, stretch the legs. Take a couple of breaths there. Hips heavy now. Bend the knees in, roll onto the right side. And then we're going to just have a little go of the tortoise. So sitting on the mat. And bring the feet about hip width apart. And first of all, just coming forward a bit. Moving the bottom back and coming forward a bit. Take a couple of breaths, breathing in, breathing out. And maybe just bring the hands outside of the feet. Breathing in, breathing out. So the back starts to get rounded, you know, this is why they call it the tortoise. But be careful because we haven't got a hard shell. then what happens is the arms start to go out a bit, and the feet start to go forward a bit. Now this isn't one of my favourite ones, but you might like it. So I'm not doing the full posture because it's quite hard really, and I don't do it at all much. So then come forward here, and then you, in the end, the legs can get quite straightened, but I'm not really recommending that myself. But there we are. If you want to and you feel okay, then you can do so. And then it's quite a bit hard on the arms, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to come out of this now. Unroll myself and bring the hands to the mat here facing forward. Move the bottom forward and slowly lie down. Just release there. So bring the feet a little bit more forward so you can kind of let go here, and a little bit of massage on the backs, just gently side to side. I think it's quite nice. And then we're going to come to sitting, so okay, up to sitting, Dandasana. Just the bottom back, of course. Back. Oh. And sitting up. So really lifting the spine, being in that perfect L shape. And we could do that against the wall. Let's do that against the wall. And then you can see how the back's working, can't you?
10 minutes gone.
Okay, now you can, that's quite a nice support, isn't it? So you need to bring your flesh at the bottom back, and you're on your sitting bones, you're right against the wall, and your sitting bones are on the ground here. Stretching the legs, bringing the toes towards you, and just your arms a little bit out to the sides. With your head a little bit against the wall. Depends how big your head is really. But keep your chin parallel to the wall. And I think that's quite nice after the tortoise one. Have a toe wiggle and then try and separate them. And when you get any higher up the wall and any more back with the bones. Okay, so back to my mat now, so you can come back to the mat and lie down. Bring your knees in towards you. And start to straighten your legs a little bit. Bring your hands under your bottom and bring the legs over a little bit. Don't turn your head in this position. And just bring the legs over. Legs fairly relaxed. Knees can be a little bit bent, that's fine. So we're just lifting off the spine now. Bend the knees in, roll down again. And then bring one foot on the mat, the other foot on the mat. Move the shoulders down. Bring the feet apart and bring the knees, just let the knees go together. And that's quite relaxing, and just let your back release. Because we've worked the hips, but we've also worked the back quite a bit on the last posture. And then we're ready for Shavasana. So, you might feel you can just go into it straight away, stretching one leg and then the other. Looking down and see if you're straight on the mat, straight in your body, and then lying down, walking the shoulders down, arms a little way away, legs a little way, and then let them roll out. and just letting go, closing your eyes, and I'll leave you just to get comfortable. Can you become quiet and still? And there's often noise going on outside, isn't there? Even if your house is quiet. So we have to retain that stillness within. So can you learn to become still and quiet? And letting go of the body. From your hips right down to the ends of your toes. Letting go, letting the legs become heavy, rolling out. Softness in your hips, pelvis, tummy, ribs and chest. Your back just sinking down, feeling fluid. Release from the tips of your shoulders right down to the ends of your fingers, right through, letting go of your arms and shoulders, hands and fingers, allowing them to become heavy. And then your jaw, your facial muscles releasing, tongue released, throat. If the throat is soft and released, there's no words there, you can become quiet. When you release your eyes and soften them, there's nothing to look at, so you become still. Releasing around your forehead, your brain becoming still. Reading you a little bit from Eckhart Tolle's book Silence and Stillness, because it's hard to get complete silence, but any disturbing noise can be as helpful as silence. How? By dropping your inner resistance to the noise, by allowing it to be as it is. This acceptance also takes you into the realm of inner peace that is stillness. Whenever you deeply accept this moment as it is, no matter what form it takes, you are still, you are at peace. So say to yourself, I am still, I am at peace. starting to become aware of your body, moving your hands and your feet a little, placing one foot on the mat and the other foot on the mat, bending your knees into your chest, rolling onto the right side, holding it there for a couple of breaths. Before you push and come up, sitting with your legs crossed, sitting on a block, and crossing your legs the other way. So when we started, lifting the spine, hands in Namaste under the breastbone to lift there, and lifting the spine. Close your eyes. Eyes, Namaste, and this week you have homework. Learn to become quiet and still.